You're watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Pressing some buttons there for a second, pressing some wrong buttons back there.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to It's Life Live with myself, Juan Lee, and Oliver Marcel. We're back here again to It's Life Live. How you doing, Oliver?
I'm good, man. I'm good. If I'm telling the entire story, I'm a little bit. I'm more tired than I normally am at this time of the evening. So, other than that, man, I'm good.
It's hump day at its best then for you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not gonna be I'd love to say it's gonna be an early night, but that's just not a place that I'm at in my life at this moment. I think we'll get there one day. Really trying to figure out how to reverse this thing. I real quick, there's a friend of mine who moved to Jamaica some years back. Moved his family to Jamaica. He posted his daily schedule recently. And I won't go into the entire schedule, but the two things that stood out for me was he's in bed by 8:30 and he's up at 4:30. I was like, yeah, I got a long way to go.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's a part of my health journey.
Yeah, me too.
And it's part of my health journey, and 8:30 is pushing it. But
okay.
Man, if I could get to 10 o'clock,
Okay.
If I could get to 10 o'clock, and it's a preparation because, like you say, 8:30, you just don't slip on going to bed at 8:30.
Yeah.
That's intentional.
Very intentional.
And so that's something that as we get older, I'm learning that's a very important, not that it's not important in the early ages, but it becomes more and more intentional to be able to do something like that. And the things that keep us up past reasonable hours become to be less and less important than it is in getting up earlier in the morning.
Okay.
I
see that.
Because the value switches. That quiet time and that still time in the morning. There's nothing that compares to it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
It's not, and I'm being honest, man, because I'm up at that time of morning, and I'm going. And the problem is I'm going to bed at like 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah,
and that's just not healthy.
Yeah, so you're not getting no sleep.
Yeah, so see that ain't healthy. So I'm in the process of that part of my journey. And this year, in this episode, the things that we're going to talk about is gonna be one of the things. It's about me. I mean, it's about how I'm going to proceed from where I am right now to where I want to be this time next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before we get started, let's just say hello. Thank you for those that are coming back. Welcome them to Clear Journeys, presenting It's Life. This is our YouTube channel, Clear Journey YouTube channel, and we're streaming it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you're on there, thank you, welcome. You can find us over on YouTube. We would like for you to really get over to YouTube and subscribe and to become a part of the community. We really would appreciate that. If you have not already become a member by joining a part of it, you can find out more about us over at clearjourney.org, our website. And while you're over there, if you would like for a small donation, I tell you, of whatever you choose, to help us. We are a nonprofit that looks to support individuals that are looking for answers to life's challenges. And what we do is we provide education and resources so that you can navigate life more successfully to reach your full potential. So that's what we're about. If you would like to support us, and if you do like to support us, we got a gift for you over there. One of the pillars that we're standing on is our financial pillar. And that is something that we really like to encourage people to learn more and more about their financials. So we have a gift that we would like to give you for a small donation, probably, but it's a very small donation. Is that whatever you choose to? It's our ebook. It's Budgeting Made Easy, a guide to a guide to taking charge of your money. And so that's something that we really would like to put in your hands for a donation of any amount. It doesn't matter what that amount is. It will be yours for just supporting what Clear Journey is all about. And in addition to that, also, I'm the author of a book called author called Love Made Simple, the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And that's the book that really is the foundation of what Clear Journey is all about, because it's about a mindset. It's about giving us a mindset that would allow us to take full advantage of whatever the circumstances or situations that we're entering in or are dealing with, and learn how to navigate it with the right mindset. So that's where you can find some of those insights into that book. And that book can is also on Audible. And if you would like to support us, all of those the funding for that book goes directly to Clear Journey, supporting Clear Journey. So we really appreciate that. And by the way, again, give us thumbs up if you like the content and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we would very much appreciate that. So we thank you for being here tonight. And hopefully you will have something or hear something that can assist you on your journey through life. That being said, Oliver,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna pick up on a we were just passing through last
Hmm.
week.
Hmm. Hmm.
You made a statement about the period of time that we're in.
Yes.
And it was like, it was a lot of hustle and bustle. I mean, everybody was running because today was the day before Thanksgiving last week,
Hmm.
and we was just running, and everybody was running around trying to get everything done. And you made a statement, and you made a statement, and
Hmm.
you said, "Well, this may not be the time and place to talk about this because we was going somewhere else, but
Hmm.
hey, we're gonna run right back by it, and just share with people where you are as it relates to this period of time in this space. This time,
Yeah.
this is a very difficult time of year for a multitude of reasons. Okay,
Indeed.
multitude of reasons.
Indeed. And I won't say that mine. I won't stand up my reasons against some other folk who have dealt with loss and trauma and things of that nature. But for those who are watching now who did not see last week's episode, what I said was in passing that I'm not a fan of this time of year. Now, here's a backstory. I have gotten a lot better. So if you talk to my wife, she will tell you that over the years, I have made significant strides in this area. But I have always been a bit of a, I won't say Scrooge because that's the extreme. I'm not that bad, but I've never really the excitement that my wife has for the holidays is not something that I have always shared throughout our marriage. I'll just put it that way. And for me, it's interesting because and there's a lot of lessons maybe in this, but one major one is if you're in relationship with somebody, you need to talk to them. There's things they need to know about you because it will help you navigate your relationship successfully. So for years, man, I would just be in some kind of mood or I'm not as festive as everybody, or a lot of times we would go to stuff with family and I'd just be sitting, I find my little chair in the corner and be on my phone or whatever, just chilling, whatever. And, that would kind of bother my wife. Like, you're not engaged, you're not doing anything. You got, you kind of ho hum, da da da. And for years, I never really explained why. We just have, and it wouldn't cause like a super rift between us, but I could tell that she's like a little frustrated about that. You know what I'm saying? She's bubbly, they're running around, and I'm just chilling. So finally, fast forward 1 year, I just kind of open up and tell the story. So for me, my parents were not festive at all. growing up. So what people typically experience during Thanksgiving, I did not experience unless I went somewhere to somebody else's house.
Mhm.
What people typically experienced around Christmas time, I did not experience around Christmas time. So, and then to add to that, the thing I hated the most was if those of you remember your school age, you get out for Christmas break, and when you get back January 3rd or January 6th or whatever that date is, you spend most of the day rehashing what you did, what gifts you got, what sneakers you had, and all this kind of stuff. And I could not participate in that conversation. And so I always dreaded that day.
Wow.
And the dread would begin around the Thanksgiving season because I knew what was coming next.
Mm.
And that just stayed with me for like the majority of my life. That just stayed with me. And so coming into the season now, I'm gonna try to, do for my kids and make sure they have gifts and that kind of thing. But for me, I was just like, man, I could take it or leave it. My wife is festive though.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to figure out how to navigate that. And so over the
Mm-hmm.
years, I've gotten better. I still have my moments, right? But now that my wife understands what it is, now those moments don't frustrate her. We can kind of joke about those moments. So like this year, man, I was hearing Christmas music, man, back in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot we were somewhere and we just bust she just bust out laughing because she knew we were in some store and heard some Christmas music and I was just like, oh, brother. And she just bust out laughing. So now it's different, right? Because she,
Yeah.
she gets it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's what I was alluding to last week when I said that.
Hey, and the thing about it is that what the real thing is what you really brought up, and that is that you know everybody doesn't have the exact same experiences,
Yeah, you're right.
and because we don't have all the same experiences, the assumptions is that we all operate in the same way. We
Hmm.
don't have the same thing.
Yeah.
And just as I said, there's so many different aspects about this time of year. And as you alluded to, is like you may not have had something that measures up to what somebody else has had,
Hmm.
but it is an indicator that it's not all the same.
Right. It's not all
And
the same.
and as it relates to birthdays and these are days that hold memories,
Hmm.
just like these Thanksgiving and those time of gathering. These are memories that we're establishing,
Right.
and if they are good or bad, those dates continually
Right. And that
come
undertone.
around.
Yep. And that undertone is there. I would say this for anybody who has experienced anything that causes them to view this differently. The thing that's helped me over the years is I've started to reframe what the season is for me. So for me, it's really cool when all the family's around, right? There's always going to be some level of laughter. There's always going to be something that's going on, some jokes. I've learned now to look forward to that. And it's not like that's the only time we get that, but that's the thing that I kind of draw out of that space. Whereas some other folk may draw something different out of that space. And so that's kind of helped me, you know, that's kind of helped me look at it, view it a little bit differently. Because often what you have to do is figure out ways to uh, change your point of reference. And so I've changed my point of reference to a few different things. And one of those things is what will lead us into the conversation we're about to have. But one of those things is focusing on family. The other thing is really looking at what can I put in place to make sure that I'm improving for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what December has become, for me. Um and like I said in the beginning, if you ask my wife, I am getting better. Like
Mm-hmm.
10
Yeah.
years 10 years ago, she would be, looking at me crazy, like, you gonna be a part of this or what? And
Yeah.
now. now we laughing and joking, so it's all good.
I think you've entered into, you talk about relationships, and that's very important because that's one of the pillars that Clear Journey talks about is
Hmm.
how do we relate one to another, have and strengthen our relationships.
Right.
And this time of year, um, is significant
Hmm.
to some, and I'll go into a little bit of my story because, you know, the one message that I'm not quite look. Let's be clear. I am not about the decorations.
Hmm.
My wife is all about the decorations.
Hmm.
And it's like it's almost I dread this time because it takes what does this mean? I have to go pull out
Yep.
the decorations.
Yep.
And it's like the soon as it she's like, when are gonna get them? So tomorrow I will be pulling out the decorations.
Yeah. I did it on Sunday.
Oh man. And
And
I'm
then,
like, and it's like you don't know what you got to do to get. I mean, this stuff that you packed away,
hmm.
you've packed away, and then you're like, and you like, you think like this comes so quickly, it's ridiculous. Like I just put this stuff up,
And that's exactly how I felt.
and here we go again, and it ain't just one box.
Mm.
It ain't just one box. Um, and so that's I'm like, yeah, but it's all relative because it makes her feel good. She likes
Hmm.
doing it. And so I'm going to be spending a part of tomorrow pulling all of these things
Yeah. Yeah.
out. So, that's one aspect of this. But what we want to do really is we want to begin to look at how do we prepare
Hmm.
for the upcoming year? What do we need to do to get ourselves in a space so that we can hit the ground running intentionally,
Hmm.
and avoid some of the things that are pitfalls that prevent us from doing them. And one of the first things that I think I like to share with people is to don't is to look for your achievements this year, your accomplishments.
Mm.
Hey, let's start off on a good side. Let's what did I accomplish this year? Because I mean, a good part of this thing in navigating life is having the ability to be able to adjust, and in that adjustment allows for us to be able to say, okay, maybe this wasn't what we had anticipated or we had planned on doing this year,
Hmm.
but we got some things accomplished this year.
Yeah.
And just to acknowledge the fact that, hey, we did some good things, and that's like really a pat on the back first.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I think about it, and many of the decisions that we make are encompassed around finances or in relationships or in our health. And I can think about in both of those, all three of those areas where I've accomplished something this year. I mean, something's grown, and it has happened as a result, as it relates to me adapting.
Hmm.
If I think back onto my relationship, my wife and I've had to adapt,
Hmm.
learn, adjust, and continue. We've been married 27 years. And there's the continuation of doing that every year,
Yeah.
and beginning to and it's making the next year better than the previous one.
Hmm.
And then when we talk about finances, we had made plans to do things in our finances. But old Murphy came in,
Hmm.
and things didn't turn out the way we had anticipated. We made some adjustments, and we were able to get some accomplishments. They weren't the ones that maybe we had thought they were going to be, but they were accomplished. They were things that needed to be done.
Yeah.
And then with my health, I tell you, this journey has been a journey that I've been on for 4 years. And this year was some major accomplishments in that I got a better understanding as relates to what I'm dealing with, how I'm dealing with it. And I'll be honest with you, it was eye-opening when I began to hear and understand the significance of how the body, mind, and spirit works together.
Hmm.
It affects us holistically,
Yeah.
and when we understand that, man, things that you look at and you feel might not be coming from where you see the pain,
Hmm.
might be coming from somewhere else. and it's a holistic approach that you can understand. Man, our bodies are some very um, interesting, interesting vessels.
Yeah.
And so
Great.
to be able to look at them and say, okay, what did we accomplish this year?
Mm-hmm.
First step, I think, in preparing for last year is just patting yourself on the back and say, oh, hey, look, we did good. but
Yeah.
then, but then the next one is the challenges. You know, acknowledge some of the challenges that I had this year. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and say, okay, yeah, that was a rough patch there.
Right.
You know, and then the lessons learned. What is it that I could have learned or I did learn
Mm-hmm.
from this past year that I could use to catapult myself into next year? I think all of those things are important to be able to get ourselves in the right mind and say, okay, what am I looking for in next year to be able to advance myself from what? Okay, we got some accomplishments, we had some challenges. What is the lessons I learned that I can push into next year, so that I can do a little bit better in this thing called life in this journey, because that's ultimately what we're on, is this journey. It is to be a little bit better than the previous year or the day before. And it's, you know, as we talk about year, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. You literally took, and for those who have watched this show, you know that I'm a coach in the relationship building space. You literally took a evaluation framework that I use with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So the clients that I have, as we if I have a client that's doing a stretch of a series, a stretch of sessions, after we've gotten some concepts in and we've gotten some practice in and we've been able to do some things as the sessions move along, I move into opening the session the same way each time as we get into the later sessions. And what they need to be prepared to share with me is wins, challenges, lessons learned, and next steps. So if they're supposed to be going through a series of, let's say we're going through the components of healthy conversation, and they're supposed to be practicing that over the course of the last week or 2 weeks, whatever the cadence is that we have been apart, what are your wins? What are your challenges, or were your challenges? What are the lessons learned, and what are your next steps as we move forward? And I think that's a framework that you can add to any segment of your life,
Mm-hmm.
to help you kind of get in gear, and create some strategy that will allow you to manufacture, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
more wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we basically, it's mindfulness. I mean, it's really intentional behavior where you're able to say, okay, look, I'm going to be intentional, and and look at them as being very beneficial. You know, looking for it as being beneficial is not like, you know, I got to do this. I want to do this. I
Yeah.
want to do this. And then I guess the next thing is, and this is very interesting, is to put yourself and to set some clear, achievable goals. And I guess you could probably wrap that into what you were talking about as it relates to your next steps and stuff,
Hmm.
because goals, as we've talked about in the past, should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. You know, those are what we call SMART goals, and they are very specific as it relates to how we um, put our goals together. Because the one thing you don't want to do is to make a goal that's unattainable, that is unrealistic. You know, today you can't pay the bills, and but tomorrow you want a new house. You know, mm,
Yeah, you
you
might have you
can't.
might have to go back to the drawing board on that one.
Well, but no, but the point I'm saying is just like, it's got to be relative in the sense that, hey, what do I want to accomplish? You know, it could be the fact that, look, I don't want to miss paying a bill this year.
Hmm.
Not a
Hmm.
bill. I want to pay every bill this year. I want to be able to I want to be able to eat health. I mean, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been on a journey with, as far as my A1C is concerned, and that's having to do with your sugar, your glucose, and stuff like that.
Right.
And it takes time to be able to measure that and see progress. So it's not like something you can do today and say, I'm going to do the right thing today.
Yeah.
The test only records 90 days of consistency. So every time you mess up or you don't hit the mark, it accumulates. So you can't go like saying, I did it good yesterday, and why am I A1C? No, that ain't how that works.
Yeah.
That ain't how that works. It's a consistency. And I think that's the thing that really trips a lot of us up as it relates to our goals, is that we're inconsistent. We're not consistently pursuing them, thinking that it's gonna be, it's gonna get there. It's easy to get there. We can get there pretty quickly. No, it takes a little consistency.
Yeah, it does. It takes, when we first started doing these the podcast, we talked a lot about being a participant in life, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, people who know me know I'm pretty transparent, man. I had an awakening of sorts, if you will, in the last few days. Um, and it ties in with what you're talking about with goals and being consistent. Hopefully this will encourage somebody. You have to participate in whatever it is that you desire, right? So, and that seems like it would be a no-brainer, but there's so many people, myself included, who they have a dream, they have a vision, they have a desire, they have a goal, and they may not feel like they have the resources, or the timing is not right, or the atmosphere doesn't seem to line up the way it should. And we often, as human beings, can find any reason to not pursue and to not be consistent and not be a participant, right? So, for those of you who are not Bible folks, don't worry, I'm not going to preach to you, but I'm gonna share something that I heard that was really influential to me, right? So, for those who are Bible folks, you've heard of the story of the 10 lepers. And the 10 lepers, Jesus told the 10 lepers to go show themselves to the priests. And while they were walking to show themselves to the priests, they were healed. And the story goes that one of those 10 came back, and Jesus was like, well, what happened to the other nine? Often that story is told with the moral being that you need to be grateful and show gratitude. How the story was told in this particular setting that I was in kicked me dead in the face. And it was this, that often we're looking for something to take place in our lives, but we haven't done what we're supposed to do to get it. So the story says that Jesus told them, now they're trying to be healed of leprosy. Instead of Jesus healing them right on the spot, which he has done in the past, he tells them to go do something first. Now they could have been like, man, come on, man. I came here to get healed. You talking about go show myself to the priest, man? Man, forget you, man. You don't know what you're talking about. They could have done that. But when they decided, okay, I'm going to participate and I'm going to start walking, it says as they went, right? And so the lesson in this for somebody is, as you go into the new year, yeah, you may not have all your ducks in a row. Yeah, you may not have all the money you think you need for this thing to happen. Yeah, you may not think that all the things are aligned, but rest assured that in order for what it is that you desire to come to fruition, you're going to have to participate in one way or another, which means just start walking. So
Mhm.
just make the phone call, just send the email, just go show up at the office, like do something, right? Do something. Start doing the video, start making the reels, start recording the modules for your course, start writing the first chapter of your book, whatever, start walking.
And that start that you're referring to is making your priorities. As you if you listen to that story that you gave, is as you said, they made doing what they knew a priority. that he had told them to do something. He says, go on your way, go and on your way. It had to be a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we fail to acknowledge, because we can get scattered
Mm-hmm.
and we don't begin to prioritize what's important in line with what the vision is or what we're trying to accomplish. And that I can say that that's been my thing, because you're looking to find that spot, but you really eventually you got to get to a point where you say, okay, what do I need to do? Where is the focus?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my focus? And that's got to be my priority. There's a lot of other things I could be doing, but I've got to stay focused on the things that's going to get me where I'm trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important. And again, these are the things that we got to keep in our mind as we're preparing to be able to get into the new year.
Right.
Thing that also, this is a good time to organize,
Mm-hmm.
to get yourself organized so that you can be prepared for that occasion, for that thing that you're looking for, because the worst thing that you can have is to get something and then you can't handle it once you get it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you got to understand what it takes to be prepared for it. And I'll be honest with you, as your example, as your story you were telling, you know, as you were saying it, Jesus was saying, you're not ready for that healing yet.
Mm. Wow.
You're
Wow.
not ready for it
You gotta
yet.
do something first.
You're not ready for it yet. And so go on your way. And as you go through the thing about, look, I'm not where I was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not where I was 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm on my way.
Right.
See, I'm on my way. At any time, if I decide to quit, I miss out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Again, that's one of the attributes of love that I talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
that is that it being tenacious,
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to quit. You've got to be able to keep on going, because there's always that desire, that thought that maybe I'll just give up. No,
Yeah.
it's on the way is when you get your healing.
Yeah.
It's again, we talk about the journey versus the destination.
Yeah. And that getting organized and being prepared thing, I mean, it's interesting because in many areas of life we do that with no problem. But often in the things that we're pursuing for ourselves, we're waiting for all the stars to be aligned, so to speak, before we make a move, right? But if you think about it, if you go to school, if you're going to school to be a doctor, right? Or you're going to school to be at whatever it is you're going to school to be, what they do is first is take you through a series of instruction. And then when you get to a certain point, they're like, okay, you've gotten enough instruction so that we can now convey you with the title of XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the title of XYZ the first day of your freshman year in college.
Mm-mm.
You got to do some things. And the moment you stop doing those things or you decide to drop out from doing those things, it's a wrap. But we don't often do that in our personal experience. We're like, oh, well, I need this to happen. And as soon as this happens, and when this happens, then I can do this. And like, no, you can't start. Like, I'll use myself as an example. I can't wait until I get a speaking engagement to have something to talk about. Like, I need to know what is my proprietary information. I need to know what's the framework that I want to talk about as it relates to communication. What's the framework for conflict management, so that when the the opportunity is presented to me and they say, "Hey, can you come talk on communication?" Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
scrambling to try to figure something out. I'm not, because I've done that work even when I didn't have any engagements.
Yeah, I mean, because again, the engagement is a confirmation of your quality or of your journey.
Right.
it's the work you've put in that you just demonstrate at the event or at the event.
Right.
And so what the thing that you were really alluded to, and that's our next step, and it's like building a support system. And there is lies where you cultivate that knowledge and that insight and that experience and those connections that allow you to be prepared for whatever those things that are to come.
Yeah.
Those systems and that support system, I see it as being conducive to any type of connection that you need to be able to reach your fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
you know and that's not something that's accidental. you know when you're looking for something, I as a matter of fact, I'll give you an example. My brother sent me a video of a gentleman who was talking about HBCUs, and he was talking about the culture of an HBCUs, and it goes beyond the education. It's almost a charge that the culture of HBCUs give you. And it was amazing when I heard this gentleman talk. It was like he and I had the same vision for what we were talking about, because his thing was about giving back. And that was the culture that he had learned from going to his HBCU, is this ability that is, I'm getting what I have, not so that I have it just for myself, but it's so I can give it to others. And that's what that's what this life experience is all about, is about gaining so you can give. And it's not about, it's easier for Jesus to have looked at them and said, look, the guy's like, I want to be here for love. No, it really ain't about you. This really ain't about you. Okay. I'm going to use you, but for a better good, a greater good.
Yeah. And here's what's crazy about that, right? Even in that story, and I had to go back and really, when I heard this, I had to go back and be like, you know what, this is actually true. If you go back and look at the majority of the miracles that Jesus performed, the person receiving the miracle had some level of participation.
Yeah. And in addition to that, it was for the benefit of somebody else. Now
Right.
they partook in it,
Mm-hmm.
but the greater good, I think we got to see the greater good also. Yeah, you've got some participation, but now in that participation, and it's interesting because if you think about it, he could have done it right there on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you? If it wasn't for a greater good.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at it singularly. He was looking at it universally, collectively. You're going to learn something on your journey that's going to benefit not only yourself, but others. It's important that we go on that journey.
Yeah.
It's important that we go on that journey. And it's how we go on that journey. The next one is, here's the thing, invest in personal growth. The education that you're talking about, getting the mentors, getting the people, that's just something that's a part of getting ready to make that next step, is to be able to surround yourself, get the people that's in line with where you want to go, so that you can be able to catapult yourself. I mean, because it's not like I need to create the wheel again. It's like, okay, where is it that you can get the assistance that you need so that you can get what it is in your relationship, in your finances, in your health. I tell you, it's eye-opening. A lot of what I've been doing this year with Clear Journey has exposed me to a lot of people that have given me directions on my life. I mean, that have really just shown me health issues, health concerns, health things, financial things, relationship things that you have added and shared. Oh, don't think I ain't playing and putting them into my life and putting them into put them into my relationship, sharing those things, putting them in here so that I can demonstrate them in my family.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about, is that we basically ironing, sharpening iron, and allowing ourselves to say, okay, open book, here's the information. Now, but here's the thing. You've got to be able to do the work.
Yeah.
You've got to do the work. Um, Number 8, I guess, is it's like understand that there is an investment that's required if necessary. If necessary. I mean, whatever it takes. And unfortunately, we have a tendency, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, but anything that we invest into, we put more interest in.
Yeah. Agreed.
We'll do more to accomplish it when we invest in it.
Yeah.
One way or another, whether it's financially, time, whatever it is, if we put investment into it, it means something more to it than if we don't.
And if we're talking about, trying to get ourselves in a space where the journey yields some level of success, or it yields the uh, achievement or accomplishment of our goals, you're gonna have to invest something, even if that investment is just time. It's very few people get where they're trying to go without any level of investment at all.
That's unthinkable. That's impossible. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
Yeah, I mean, you may have the person who, the trust fund baby, or you may have these cases here and there, but you really trying to accomplish a goal, you trying to have an impact, you trying to grow personally, you trying to develop, like, you gotta have some skin in the game.
Well, but and the thing about it is that that's the next point here, is that you have to adapt the mind to want to grow.
Yeah.
And that's where investment is essential, if you've got that mindset to want to grow, because apart from that, you're not going to grow. If you're invested in it, there's nothing in it for you. There's nothing in it for you. You're not going to grow. I mean, you'll get stuck in the past and thinking that, there's two mindsets. There's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, you basically say you got everything that you need to be successful, or to be who you are, or to reach whatever it is and that limits and it minimizes what potential you have. And so we want to be able to adopt a growth mindset, which is phenomenal in just how we approach life, And this is the interesting enough. This number 10 is what you said was your number 4, and that was take action.
Yeah.
What's your actionable thing after learning that these things that you now can put in place? What are you going to do? Start. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, and I would suggest taking some time. There's a lot of information that was shared just in the few minutes we've been together. I would say take some time, and I'm not saying you got to do it how I do it. I'll share with you how I do it, but take some time to really flush this out. I think often a mistake that many of us make is that we're trying to wing it through this. And although, yes, you will gain some successes that way, I'm not going to act like you won't. But you really could streamline the process if you have something, if you can look at something going in, right? And so for me, the last few Decembers for me have become a time where I'm really looking at what impact do I want to make? What are the focus areas in terms of what we do? What are the things we want to focus on in the new year? What is the direction we're trying to go? What are the things we need to learn? What are the skills we need to acquire? And I just kind of take December to really kind of look at, okay, how do we position ourselves to be, and I'm going to say 1%. I really want to be way more than 1%, but how do I position myself to be 1% better than I was?
Yeah. you know,
or than I
it's
am
our
right now.
it's ironic that we sit at this particular time of year
Hmm.
as though it's different from March or April or
Yeah,
May,
yeah.
and we use the calendar as this measuring tool to give us a chance to just, you know, refresh or reset.
Hmm.
But ideally, it's to be conscious of this monthly, weekly,
True.
daily, and how much we talk about here about the moments is about actualizing the moments, because these moments turn into these days, that turn into these weeks, that turn into these months, that
Hmm.
gets us to this point in the year where we go, how well did I do? How well did I do? Instead of going, I'm feeling very confident in my today,
Hmm.
taking full advantage of this today, that I'm going to be better tomorrow than I was today. And so here's just one real quick. I want to go through some of the things that we have to look out for
Okay.
that prevent us from being able to do the things that we've just talked about. And the first one is just the fear of failure. That will stop you in your tracks. It's only a lie. If you can't, like I said, all we got to do is get in the game and have a mindset to not want to quit. Not want to quit. And granted, like you said, maybe it might not be the right direction, or maybe it's be, I know this is a little difficult because getting started with direction is what I'm just talking about.
Hmm.
Don't be fearing the fact that it's not for you, because the next one is procrastination.
Hmm.
You can't allow procrastination to keep you from being able to reach what it is that you're wanting to accomplish. And the other thing that will follow procrastination is negative talk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's those limiting the beliefs to think that I can't do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. You look, I'm a witness to the fact of maybe I not doing it the way you doing it,
Hmm.
but I got a purpose that's uniquely mine.
Hmm.
And I want to be able to let you know that if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what matters. It's not what I think I you can do, it's what you think you can do.
Hmm.
And then when you think you can do all things, then you'll move on what it is that you think, and that will be your ability to move forward.
Yeah.
um Other thing is lack clarity. That is something that I struggle with.
Hmm.
So let's be clear. If you don't, when you're trying to blaze a path that nobody's ever blazed before, or you assume that nobody's blazed before. That's why I was telling you that information or that video that my brother sent me, and
Hmm.
I saw somebody who's in the same space that I'm in. I'm like, man, I need to get in touch with him,
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's he's been where I'm trying to go to.
Right.
Don't think that you're on this journey alone,
Hmm.
and just understand that there is some clarity out there. Maybe you might not see it, but if you keep on searching, keep on pushing, you'll find that thing that connects to who you are. And I'm telling you, when it connects, it makes perfect sense.
I
It will
think
be
that's
very
important
clear.
too. That's important what you're saying too, man, because there, you talked about the support system and the importance of that, right? And it's important that you have a village around you. Again, something that I've started learning kind of later in life, the importance of that. Um, and just understanding this, man, that there are people out there who want to support you and who want to help you and want to provide guidance and want to introduce you to a network, right? There are people out there. You just got to search for them. And you can't get discouraged if the first part of your search doesn't yield those folks, you just got to keep going, because trust me, there are people out there who, and this is where preparation comes in. So don't wait until you find those people, because when you find those people, the very first thing they're going to ask you is, okay, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? Okay, if you do, all right, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Because typically when you find those people, they're ready to move.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
you're going to have to do your preparation while you're searching, but just know that there's somebody out there who wants to support you, who wants
Ab-
to help you achieve your goals.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit that nail on the head, because I think many of us think that it's going to happen, but it's the I can't stress this enough. It's the journey, and the putting in the work,
Mm-hmm.
not looking for the end results without the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
It's so critical to do that. Um, let's look the last couple things here. Don't let poor time management trip you up. Don't let time management trip you up. That goes along with prioritizing, learn how to put things in order, put things in place. Realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, here's what I was trying to say earlier, this just a second ago. A good connection is better than a opportunity in an opportunity any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, an opportunity to is an event.
Mm-hmm.
A connection is something that continually flows.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opportunity. These opportunities come from connections, or if you get a stray opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
they pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're looking for is a connection for those opportunities.
Yeah.
That's where we're trying to get to. And so focus on the relationships that we can build
Mm-hmm.
instead of opportunities, and those relationships will present opportunity.
Yeah. That's good.
Resistance to change, feeling too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
When we too comfortable, we have a tendency not to grow.
Yeah.
And that's something
Get
that
complacent.
it will trip us up from being able to get prepared to be able to be what we want next year to be for us, if we don't um, allow those things, if we're resistant to change. um, by all means, like you said, this is a lot of information. If there's just one or two things that you can take away from this and just work on those things, I know where I am and the areas that I need to work on for myself. So if you just listen back through this and just find one that you want to work on, that's all it takes to be able to look at the situation and go, look, I'm going to implement that. I'm going to apply that in my life
Mm-hmm.
going forward. And here's the thing: you don't have to wait till the new year.
You don't.
You don't. As we talk about, oftentimes when we sign off on this show, is that now is the time, and we can't change your life, but we can help you navigate it, and that's now.
Mm-hmm.
That's right now. Take this and run with it. Do with it what you will, so that you can be all that you can be
Yeah.
in every area of your life.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. There are. I'm not that person who. Uh, I'm not that cliche person. Who's like, your next year will be your best year. I'm not that kind of person. But having said that, you really can do some things to ensure that growth happens next year. Now, I can't predict that it's going to be your best year. I'm not a prophet. There's a whole bunch of people popping up calling themselves prophets. I can't predict that it's going to be your best year, but I can tell you that if you put some work in and you're intentional about development and you are consistent, you will see some growth.
We'll see. And I attribute growth to being better. If I know something that I didn't know last year,
Yeah,
that
that's
means that
better.
that means that I'm a better person
That's
than I
right.
was last year. I'm
That's right.
better. I'm a better person, and that means that I'm gonna have a better life. This is gonna be a better year,
It's gonna
and
be better. Right.
that's why I say it's that every day
Mm-hmm.
having that identity and saying, what can I learn today that can make me propel me into making tomorrow a better day? And man, when you start rolling them days into into in a row,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't nothing that can happen but be a better year than it was last year.
Yeah. If you even said, I want to be, I heard somebody say their goal was to be 1% better every day, right? Let's say you just said, I want to be 1% better every week. You'll have a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I mean, measurement is being able to measure that 1%.
Right. Right.
It's being able to measure that, because I'm saying, however you want to quantify that, is just be, I want to learn something. I want to know something more
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow or today than I knew yesterday,
Right.
and that's intentional. That means that you've got to approach it in that manner where it says, I've got to find something that I don't know
Mm-hmm.
today. I need to know something different today. We talk about the value of reading books and listening to podcasts and
Exactly.
do these types of things.
Yep.
It's about gaining that knowledge that makes you better today. For what purpose? To prepare you for tomorrow.
Yep. And to position you so that you can be impactful in somebody else's life.
Yes.
It's not
And
just
that's,
to hoard it. It's
yes, it's
you can position
ultimately you have to give.
it. Right.
And apart from that, it's just like anything else. If you got your hands full, somebody try to give you something, you can't give it to them. You
Yeah.
can't receive it. You
Yeah.
got to give away what you got so you can make room for something new.
Yeah. You got to. And let me say this. This is I'm sharing this as a piece of advice, but really this piece of advice I'm about to share is something that is a growth area for me, meaning that I have to also get better at being consistent with this. And I would say, with all that we've talked about, part of your preparation process should be to have a schedule. And I'll give you an example. I'm not saying it has to be this, but I met a gentleman who has been very successful in business, is in the throes of growing something brand new. And he was telling me not too long ago, he was like, listen, man, I map out my day. And there are some things that are just non negotiables. Just non negotiables. I am going to exercise at this particular time. I am going to read at this particular time. I am going to be making sales calls at this particular time. And he went down the list. Matter of fact, that list even included taking a nap. I'm going to take a nap from this time to this time. And he was like, me structuring my day, I can't help but be 1% better every day.
Here's what that schedule is that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the implementation of what's the word? You're repeating.
Yeah, your repeatable process. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
repetition.
Mm-hmm.
It's repetition. It's what you've established is a repetition, and that repetition can't help but produce
Yeah.
value
Mm-hmm.
and growth. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what a schedule does, is it instills a repetition that gets you to the results that you're looking for. So absolutely, by all means, everybody, that's where consistency falls
Yeah.
in being able to put a system in place, or that you can repeat over and over and over again.
Indeed.
That being said, Oliver, let people know how they can reach you.
Indeed. You can reach me if you're a social media person. The social media handle is, I was pointing in the wrong place. It's actually right there. Social media handle everywhere at Denali LLC, everywhere if you're on social media. If you are an email person, you can email me at this email that is on your screen. For those of you who do not know who I am an author, a speaker, and a coach in the relationship building and men's enrichment spaces. author of the book Overcoming the Man Loss for the Man Who Wants to Be His Best Despite What He Was Taught. And it's just my desire, man, to see men win in every area of their lives and to see relationships grow and thrive. And so if that is something you're interested in, let's have a conversation by all means.
Well, well, well. Yes, by all means, and let him know that he's a part of our resources here at Clear Journey. So by all means, reach out to him. If you want to learn again more about Clear Journey, go over to clearjourney.org and really understand a little bit more about what we have to offer over there. We appreciate that. And in addition to coming up next year, uh, if you were here last week, you were introduced to Dr. Brockington. And coming in next year, we're going to have a new podcast that's going to be called The Philosophy of Love that will be starting the first of the year. And this is what, can you put that up? This is what it's going to.
What if love is more than just a feeling? What if it's a universal force shaping how we understand ourselves, our community, and the world? Welcome to the Philosophy of Love, where we break down the science behind love, how it influences our minds, our behaviors, and the way we connect with humanity. Join us as we explore the psychology of love as a driving force for empathy, growth, and understanding. You're watching the Philosophy of Love podcast with Juan Lee and Dr. James Brockington.
And that's will be starting in January. So by all means, come out, hear about what we're talking about. It's really a mindset that we're going to be referring to there. It's about my journey and how I use love to allow myself to navigate this thing called life. And Dr. Brockington is basically showing us the science behind it, because it's absolutely scientifically proven that love is the action that we all need to navigate this thing called life.
Yeah.
And so we look forward to those that are here in the community to come over. It's going to be right here on the Clear Journey podcast. I mean, the Clear Journey YouTube channel. So by all means, come back and support us and that venture.
Want to shout out Heather Graves. I put her comment up a little earlier. Heather Graves in the comments said, "This is so good. Thank you. Thank you, Heather, for being here."
Yes, Heather. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you very much. Hope you had a very nice Thanksgiving, Heather. And for all of those that are listening, have had a chance to drop by tonight. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. And we tell you again, this season, support one another. Ask people, reach out to them. It's a difficult time. So in many ways, we all are dealing with different things. So let's support one another through this season so that we can all be in the next year looking for a better one.
Indeed.
And that being said, as usual, we can't change life, but we look to help you navigate it. So until next time, we'll see you then.
Have a good one.